Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's been too long. And as you guys know before, we were the Living by Design podcast. Now it's just the Amber Williams podcast. So today I have my friend today and colleague, and we have her on the show. And I'm going to introduce her, and she's going to talk about who she is. And her name is Sasha Pisterman. Sasha, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
So, Sasha, okay, I want everybody to tell them because she is a jack of many trades, but today we're going to talk about strategy, branding, PR, marketing, chat GPT, how we met, and all the good stuff. But Sasha, really break it down. Who are you?
By trade and training, I am a publicist, but I would say my skills and knowledge extend beyond that into more so overall brand strategy, marketing, creative industries. But the basis of what I do is PR.
PR. Basically, you're a businesswoman. Basically, you're a businesswoman. Let's just break it down. You're a businesswoman. Those are your traits, it's your talent, but she's good at business. She's good at seeing. And you guys, I want to tell you, you guys know we talk about human design on here a lot. Sasha is also a projector like me. She is a 3/5. And you guys know I'm a 4/6. We're both emotional projectors. So you can understand we are the guys, we are the seers and everything. But Sasha, let's talk about we were talking about this before we even started this podcast. Because let me just put this out here, a little caveat. We've been trying to have this podcast for almost 3 months, right, Sasha?
Yes, that's on me. I'm sorry.
So this is a big deal, guys. This is a big deal that I got Sasha on this Zoom right now on this podcast. We are here talking. So Sasha, let's how did we meet? Let's talk about how we met first of all.
Through our mutual friend Chris, who you went to college with. I still don't remember exactly the first time we met, but it was definitely through him. Probably almost 10 years ago now.
It's been over 10 years.
Okay, over 10 years when you were living in LA.
Yes.
And I was outside.
Yes, you and I were definitely outside. That's when we met. And I was telling Sasha, I think it was around 2012, maybe we met. 2011, 2012. I remember back then, Sasha was working at, what was it? BMI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's working at BMI. So that was so long ago. But guys, we're here. We're still friends. We work together and we're going to talk about all this stuff. And so let's just really kind of dive in and really talk more about what it has looked like for you. And then it really kind of actually just, transitions into us working together now. What has it looked like for you for the last 12 years in working? What has it looked like?
So I went to college for journalism and PR, and I knew I wanted to work in the music industry. So that was kind of the pathway. PR was the pathway I took into the music industry. And my first job out of college was at BMI it was corporate communications and marketing department. It was a great experience. I was there for about 5 years. I got a really wide array of experience within PR. So we did 4 award shows every year. We did events at South by Southwest, the Grammys, Latin Grammys. I worked with all the different departments in the company. I got the chance to go to Sundance and do, really cool entertainment related events like that. And I built a lot of relationships while working there as well. When I left the company, throughout that time, I'm a hustler, so I was always doing other stuff too. And I was working with a boutique agency. And so when I left BMI, I was working under that agency for a couple of years. We worked with clients like Jennifer Lopez, DJ Mustard, French Montana. We did crazy Grammy parties for Meek Mill. And then I ended up going out on my own in 2017. And I kind of got forced into it due to a situation that happened that I won't get too much into. But it ended up being a great kind of obstacle for me to get through because that's
Mhm.
when I started my own company. And since then, SDP Digital. And since then, that's what I've been doing. So I've been working with major record labels, independent record labels and artists, distribution companies. I've worked with some tech companies as well, some startups, Live Nation. I did some festival PR for them. And now I'm in kind of a transition pivot point where I've really done everything I wanted to do within the music industry. And
Okay.
so I'm transitioning more into, well, I am still in the music industry. I think that's always going to be a part of me. But I want to be able to work with nonprofits, more tech startups, small businesses, entrepreneurs, just get, a more wide uh, array of industries under my belt and, as clients.
That's crazy because I didn't realize that you worked for BMI that long.
Yeah,
5
5 years.
years. 5 years is a long time to really work for a company and then really like you did a lot, like being able to move around and working in those different departments. And I don't think people really understand like living in LA and you were born and raised, but
Mhm.
living in LA and then being exposed to that, like we just we'd be like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like we're okay, you want to listen to that? We see those people all the time. It kind of just like we are able to look at people as humans and not like put them on this pedestal of this movie star when you do live in a place like LA and then you work in industry, you know what I'm saying? And even though I didn't work for a large corporation, but I worked with artists and worked with athletes and stuff, and I was around them constantly. So it wasn't really a big deal to me, after a while, and you get exposed. I think like also I remember the first time I met 50 Cent and I was just like, oh yeah, and he's a nice guy, and he's a businessman. So I mean that's I just thought about that. It just came to my mind just thinking about it. But
Yeah,
I
the
know
only
you like
person, sorry to
you
cut you
said
off.
what now?
The only person I have ever been starstruck about is Nas. He's the only one that made me nervous.
Me too. Me too. Him,
Everybody
oh my
else,
God.
I don't care.
I just want to say this right now because we said we were going to talk about rappers, but
Oh yeah.
we said I mean it's part of also why we're friends. Like we love the hip hop, so we cannot, Sasha, we can't run away from it. But I remember living in LA and I went to when Nas was doing It Was Written, the documentary.
Mm.
And I went to it. I got there too late, so I wasn't able to watch it. But he came in. But he came in, and I was outside waiting, and he walked by me, and I was just like I think that's the only person that, like you said, Nas, like that I've gotten like, and he just smelled so amazing. But we'll go into the next thing because I was like, I'll get sidetracked talking about Nas, but um, we you guys do not understand. We've been wanting to do this for a while. Just talk about business, talk about branding. What does it mean to brand your business? How businesses don't start off early branding. They wait. I think, and I'm gonna let Sasha talk about this. When I look at a lot of companies, because you guys know that I'm in design and engineering, like a lot of these companies, especially engineers, they start off just focusing on the infrastructure of the business and they don't really look at their brand or anything. And that goes for a lot of people. They don't really understand what they're trying to portray to the world. So like, I want Tasha to really break down what is branding, because I think people do not understand. There's so many components to it. And I want Tasha to really break down what branding means.
Well, I would say there's two parts to it with what you're saying, especially when you are working for yourself and starting, a company or some type of business. It's like the internal portion is, your internal vision for the company, like
Mhm.
the culture, what you want your employees to feel, and how your values and those things that you and I talk about a lot. But as far as front facing, when it comes to your customers or your clients, that is where your brand comes in. And people focus a lot on, oh, what is my website going to look like and my social media posts, but it's so much more than that. It's like your brand voice. How do you speak to your customers? Also, who is your customer? Like, who is your like target buyer persona? Um, and I would start off with that for anybody that is, in business. Start off with who is your buyer persona, who is your ideal client or customer, and then work backwards from there. What's your price point? Are you more of a high level, high ticket type of, product or service? If so, you're going to have to present yourself and communicate a certain way versus you're selling like, I don't know, iPhone accessories or something that's more common. But the brand, the easiest way I could probably say it, a brand is your how you make people feel, what they associate you with, and how they remember you. So, if we think about like the most successful brands like Apple, Nike, one word. Apple, you think of technology, innovation. Nike,
Mhm.
you think of endurance, motivation. And those are really great examples of how you want to present yourself to, your consumer. And it's not necessarily about, a specific product, because Apple started with the MacBook, and now it's in every part of our lives. Same thing with Nike. They
Mhm.
started with shoes, but now they have apparel, and it's become more of like a lifestyle brand. Um, but yeah, it's really about the association of how you make people think about you.
Yeah. You know what? And just thinking about that, I'm like, hmm. I know that my business is on the verge of rebranding, and we're talking about that. We're working on that part. But I just thought about it again. My entire voice of who my customer is totally different. And I think that we can talk about it a little bit. Also kind of like, no, we're gonna talk about that later, because I really want us to talk about, we've talked about you working at BMI, you do branding marketing. But we're really, I want to really get into your story of right before the pandemic. And we talked about this the other day, and just pivoting, and
Mhm.
how a lot of things have changed for you in business. What was like the catalyst of your change? I think that's really the most important thing. What was the catalyst of your change?
Um, 2019, I had a really financially successful year. I was getting, 5 to 6 clients per month.
Wow.
I had, an employee working for me or with me, and I was doing well on paper, but I wasn't enjoying it anymore. Um, and I'm somebody that I need to be passionate about what I'm doing. I need to really believe in it. If not, it's just going to drain me. And
Mm-hmm.
I was getting to that point of like just feeling drained and burnt out. It was too much volume, also. And the retainers weren't, the amount of the retainers weren't sustainable, also, to pay for the overhead, and to continue to kind of scale and expand. So that was like the catalyst. And I would say what I had to start transitioning into was I knew how to be a publicist, but I didn't know how to be a business owner. So that's really
Mhm.
what I've been focused on, is learning how do you work on a business rather than in a business. And I,
Mhm.
realized that I didn't have the right foundation set up, the right systems, the right processes, and even just being able to do like financial projections and reading, the P&L statements and all that type of thing. So yeah, that was kind of what led me into that.
And that is for majority of everybody in business. The financial part. That's the part that really stumps a lot of people in business. And it takes time. So I know if anybody's listening right now, to the people that are listening, and you're wanting to start a business. And me and Sasha talk about this all the time. And I tell people all the time, even though I have a background, I have an MBA and I worked in banking and I worked in the family business, like there's still times that I hate doing financial stuff. And it's just like, it's not that I don't know how to do it. It's just like it's so time consuming. And it's so I really recommend, if you start a business, the best thing you to do is get an accountant. And I'm looking for a new accountant right now. And it's just like I went to a friend who I wanted to hire, and she's like, Amber, I can't do it. I'm just full with clients now. And I'm just like, so when you start a business, get an accountant. That's like the best thing for you to do. Um, I will say that I've taken on a lot of doing my own accounting things, and that's just because that finance was my thing. I don't say I really enjoy it, but finance and accounting and all those different things are my jam, but it's not what I came here to do, and it's not my wheelhouse. So I am looking for an accountant. And I know Sasha has an accountant that she works with too, but and one of the other things that I always say is like, go take a small little financial class. Um, because the thing about it is it's so important for you to know what an expense is, what net income is, what is, I know she said P&Ls, you can plug those things in and your accountant will be able to get those, but it's the understanding of what is an expense and are you really making a profit in your business? Because
Mhm.
like you say, and then there's the other things that come in is like you're making all this money, but are you happy? Like, are you fulfilled as a business owner? And I think that's what a lot of people really struggle. And that's where we're going to get to with Sasha. We're just talking about the finding fulfillment in what you're doing and pivoting and growing and everything. And that comes along with your brand. Like the bigger you get your brand, like are you still in alignment with what you said your brand is? And so I'm going to give the mic back to Sasha, and we're just going to go more into that of her pivot and like where she is today in working and some of the things that she's kind of stepped into now.
Going back to what we were just talking about, I have a book recommendation. It's called Profit First. And reading that book really helped me with finances when it comes to a business and focusing on profit and kind of how to split up your revenue to be able to cover, operating expenses, taxes, and all that. So I recommend it.
Okay.
Okay, what was the question? I'm sorry.
We're talking about your transition. You said
Uh,
2019 was the catalyst, and then we went into COVID. What happened when you went into COVID? And then we're still, or if you want to call it the pandemic, what happened when you went into the pandemic, Sasha?
well, that it changed so much in music and media. The media industry was already starting to change, but COVID really made it do like a 180.
Hmm.
So obviously, we couldn't move around, we couldn't do events, we couldn't, go to, whoever's offices to do an interview, or the studio to do an interview. So everything was kind of shut down and, how to get creative. I feel like I was one of the first people that set up an Instagram live interview with a client in a publication. So, I started doing things like that. But to be honest, I was low key relieved that I kind of got a break from all of it and I didn't have to be outside and I could like fall back from working with talent. Uh,
Mhm.
it gave me the opportunity to kind of, slow down, take some time to myself and reset. Um, and yeah, that's when I started doing more like online courses and reading and just figuring out what is it that I don't know that I need to know. And, how can I put myself in a position to be able to get into new industries, take on different types of clients, and find, that fulfillment and, passion for what I'm working on again.
Mhm. Yeah, that was like, you know, I was right there with you too.
Mhm.
I was excited to be inside the house. I actually was like, okay, we don't have to be outside. And I wasn't outside for like, no, I mean, like, I would go out the house, but my son and I were in the house the whole time, and we were just enjoying it. It was like the best vacation ever. And I'm sorry anybody that's watching it and if it affected you in that kind of affected in a bad way. We're not happy about that. But as far as it, we saw it as a time to slow down,
Mhm.
go back in and figure out what are we doing? Because around that time, Sasha, you and I were trying to figure out what we were doing. I was like circa 81 kids. I was in the midst of already in engineering and design. And I was like, at that time, we went into the pandemic. I decided to expand my business to just design from selling kids clothes. And then it was like, you were like going back and forth. Do I want to work in the music industry or what, and we've come to this conclusion to this day. You're always going to have your foot in the music industry, but at the same time, you're going to service other industries and give them the Sasha sauce. That's what we're going to call it. We're going to call it the Sasha sauce. Okay. The Sasha sauce. So it's like, okay, so it's 2020. We are coming out of everything. We're going back outside. Me and Sasha are heavily on the phone talking about what we're gonna do. And I'm gonna just push us forward, Sasha. It is 2023,
Well,
January.
hold on, because
Wait,
around 2020, 2021, that was when you told me about human design and I learned about,
okay,
projector. And then a lot
okay.
clicked for me with that too.
Yeah. So then was it around the time I did a reading on you?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when we did. Okay, yeah, it was around the time we did read, because around that time when we came out of COVID, that's when I started doing readings for people. And I did that reading on Sasha, and I'm like, Sasha, you are a projector. Like, literally, we're not supposed to be working like everybody else. We're not the builders, we're the guides and everything. And I really kind of coached Sasha through that on really kind of restructuring how she does business. Um, we've been talking about this today because restructuring, especially as women, restructuring business and working with our menstrual flow as women, knowing when we're at our peaks and know we're at our lows, we might have to slow down. And and it's a good time to use that energy. The energy is a little bit more creative. And so those are some of the things that we really kind of worked through and I introduced to Sasha. Um, and then it was like we came out of that and then she was just kind of just figuring it out. But it's like I tell Sasha all the time, it was just, I think it was just like a restructuring of how you did business. It wasn't how do we say this? It was a restructuring of how your relationship to work. That's all it was.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
wasn't a it wasn't a restructure of your gifts and talents, because they've always been there. It was a restructuring of your relationship to work. And I know this podcast had changed the name from Living Design to the Amber Williams podcast, but everything we do is about well-being. And I feel like for you, like in that time frame, your well-being expanded. Cause like, and let's just even talk about this. I don't even think we said we were gonna talk about it a little bit. Let's talk about it because it's part of the story. Like a lot of the things that we did, like acupuncture, and you wanna touch on that? Just some of the stuff, as I think it's very important as an entrepreneur to people know, what does your well-being look like? How do you rest? How do you take care of yourself? Like, Sasha, what does it look like for you now?
I did do acupuncture for a while, and I definitely feel like it helped. But I think I had to realize that what I was experiencing was being burnt out, to then be able to figure out how to come out of that, and the like adrenal fatigue and all that stuff. I would say rest, like allowing myself to rest my mind and body and not having to always be on. Exercising, even if it's just walking, definitely helps. Being more mindful about what I'm eating and, eating healthier. What else? Massages, chiropractor, all that type of thing too. But boundaries. Boundaries is a big one. Like, I used to be available 24/7, running around all the time. And now I'm just like, nope, get somebody else to do it because it won't be me. Like,
Get somebody else to do it, okay?
I will not respond on the weekend unless, it's something, pressing or whatever. Even like evenings, I'll kind of shut down. I've been working on like digital detox. Like at night, I'll leave my phone charging in another room, so I'm not on it at night or first thing in the morning. I'll put it on do not disturb a lot while I'm working, and I've taken breaks off of Instagram too, like a couple months at a time. I think people are scared to do that, but it's like if you need to take a break, take a break. Like you don't. I feel like a lot of the social media stuff, it's like, yeah, you need to be on there to market yourself and your business, but at the same time, I think a lot of the way that people use it is like ego based.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, it's like, oh, let me post to make it look like, I'm doing something, or make sure people know like I'm doing something and get the likes and, whatever. And it's like, I don't need that. Like I can get off for a couple months or, get off for a week or two and live my life and actually be doing the work.
Yeah. And you know what? Also, it's very, I want to say I'm on a digital detox, but I still be looking at it. Not really on, I just took the apps off because I took the apps off my phone, but it is very like it's a dopamine rush
Yeah.
to hit that. You like I definitely do not do notifications on the phone. The only notifications I have is my bank alerting me that there's no fraud. And I think that's the only one. There might be some other stuff. I'm not a fan of notifications.
I turn
I'm
them
huge on always like doing some type of digital detox. I just need a detox from my phone. You know what I'm saying? I just sometimes want to just detox from just technology, period. And the crazy thing about it is I'm working in technology and we're the most ones that need the most detox and everything. So,
on.
well-being
Another
is
thing, sorry, another thing is like for people that like to read, I know a lot of people like to read like on their phone or their iPad. I have a
mhm.
Kindle that like it's like it's not like a blue light screen. And the only thing you can do on the Kindle is read. So sometimes like I'll just be on that, like or at night I'll read on that so that I'm not like, oh well, let me go check Instagram really quick. Like you don't have the option, with that.
Oh, I didn't know that your Kindle, you had a separate Kindle. I haven't had one of those in a while. Usually I'll read it off of my iPad. Like I have the Kindle app on my iPad and I'll read it off of there. But to be honest, I don't even know where my iPad is right now. I don't know where it's somewhere in my room, so I'll find it and charge it. But yeah, I use that. But you know what? I'm such an old fashioned touch the book. I need
Yeah.
to touch the book. I like touching the book. I'll even sometimes do Audible in the book and I'll have
Mhm.
it speaking to me and then reading it with my eyes and I take it in more. Or I'll just straight up listen to
Yeah, Audible too, for sure.
audibles, but you know, currently right now, I'm like, I don't even think I feel like I'm on information overload right now. So I can't listen to any book right now. I can't take in anything else right now besides the stuff that I'm learning at the moment.
Yeah.
So can we because we want to get to this chat GPT and I want to get to 2023 and what it's looked like for us because like that is why we wanted to get on here. We want to talk about a story, we want to talk about branding, we want to talk about marketing, but we want to also talk about the tools that we use nowadays and we want to talk about what we've been up to in 2023. Sasha, what have we been up to in 2023?
Well, I feel like both of our pivots took like a leap into the future, into expansion. You introduced me into this amazing thing called government contracting. And even though it's been a process, we're both getting our woman owned, minority owned business certifications, which I know the payout when those things are completed is going to be really good. And yeah, I
Tell
mean,
them the reason why you want to get certified though.
going back to what happened in 2019 and the last couple of years, and what I've been reading and learning about, you know, this government contracting is a really great way to expand, your business and your business services and have, stability and long-term contracts and be able to work with whether it's like the city of Los Angeles or the state universities, or even like the Olympics are coming to LA soon. Being able to work with corporations who have like the diversity supplier programs. Yeah, I mean, these companies have to hire a percentage of minority and women-owned businesses, and so do certain um, departments within the government. So it's, a really good opportunity for small businesses to be able to expand.
And I think people don't understand like working with the government, it's so very broad. It's very broad because the government does business with everybody. And just, you're thinking about the Olympics. The Olympics is ran through the bidding process with the government, the city, especially the city that's hosting it, it's ran through that bid process. And it's really good for you to certify your business, like she said, because one, it's a vetting process for companies that are looking for people like Sasha and I, and they've done the background check. So they're like basically saying the government says, you're good to do business with this person. City says you're good to do business with this person. And it makes it easier to kind of even just, let's just blank out and say the word, the scammers, the people that are really not doing anything, and really actually find businesses that you may never heard of. The other day I was on the internet, and I always do searches to look at how Google has indexed my website. And so I did some restructuring to my website. So it's still indexing my page and everything, but if I type my name one way, and I got to make sure that my name is done one like how it's circa 81, then design.
Mhm.
And it's crazy because like I went on there and once I put it all together, it had everything that was attached to me on it, right? It indexed every single past podcast I was on, a podcast I just did not too long ago with another colleague. Just everything in it. And then when I clicked on it, I saw the database for MBE, DBE, WBE. And if you guys don't know, that's Minority Business Enterprise, Women Business Enterprise, and Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. And my business is certified through all of those. I know Sasha is certified. Sasha, you're certified through the city of Los Angeles, and she's also working on her government certification. But really, like, since we started that process, how much has it expanded us to be like, okay, we need to get these things in order? And then let's talk about how we use a lot of this with Chat GPT and how Chat GPT was introduced to us. Because I want to get to this Chat GPT.
Yeah, I mean, it's made me realize also how, look, the music industry, it operates off of vibes a lot of times. And other businesses don't work like that. And, I have worked in other industries, so I know like how corporations run and stuff. But the government is a whole nother beast. Like those RFPs, the amount of documentation, the paperwork that they need, you have to be extremely organized. You have to have all that stuff put together. And, it's made me have to go back to the foundation and, have all these things in place and, project management, like, you and I talk about a lot. And so ChatGPT has helped with kind of, honestly, it's like my assistant. Like I use it for everything. It helps with outlining the proposals. I've used it to create workflows and SOPs, and like outline marketing plans and social media plans. Honestly, like you name it, I've used it to help me with. And more and more, I feel like I'm continuing to learn how to improve, the prompts you put in there and to like utilize it to the best of, your ability or its ability.
Yeah, and I think people, Sasha didn't mention she's done a lot of work in the tech world too, tech startups too. She has been doing the last 2 years. And my company, I'm in engineering, but we're really venturing into the IT world too. And with like, of course, I was already learning and upping my trades and skills in machine learning, which most people don't know is artificial intelligence. It's a part of artificial intelligence. And that is what ChatGPT is. ChatGPT is just an artificial intelligence that's, it's taking the information from the internet web, this cloud, and you're giving it something, but it's able to, after you give that input, able to output so fast. And if you understand how to use it correctly, it won't sit there and be like, I'm trying to figure it out. You have to give it the right prompts, right? And that's something that Sasha and I have learned in the last couple of months, just using it. Like she said, it's an assistant. It's my assistant too. We use it everything from job descriptions, putting out leads for jobs. I actually have some interviews this next week or two with some really good skilled candidates from a job description I put out from ChatGPT, and it's going to give you all the things that you need. You still need to check it. I still believe in checking it. You still need to, because if you ask it to be a copywriter, it's going to give you some of the best copywriting. Looking at a bio I wrote the other day with ChatGPT, and I was like, girl, that sounds so good. And I was like, wait, it didn't put like more sauce on it than I needed. You know what I'm saying? It was more saucy than I needed. And I was like, let's just tone it down a little bit, you know? I know
Yeah,
how.
see, that's the thing is like people are so scared of like, oh my God, it's gonna take my job or whatever. It's like, no, it's good to like it gets rid of having to do those tedious tasks and it like kind of jump starts, certain projects and certain things you have to
Mhm.
do. But like the copywriting thing, like I still have to go through and, read it and change like the brand voice that we were talking about earlier. You have to put it in your tone of voice. And sometimes like it comes out like a little corny, how it says things. And it's like, okay, let's switch it up. And also, one thing for people to know is to be careful about using directly what ChatGPT, their output in websites and stuff and blogs, because Google is picking up on that. So it's going to negatively affect your SEO. So you do have to still, go in, make your edits, like rewrites. So that's something to keep in mind.
That is something that's a huge thing to also keep in mind. Um, how important is your brand identity?
I mean, I would say it's outside of the like business foundation and vision, it's like the most important thing.
And you know what? One thing that, because since I think that if my viewers know, my listeners know that my background's in marketing too. And one of the huge things that I always knew was colors,
Mm.
the logo. They mean so much. And I know I'm in the process of redoing my entire brand identity. But when it comes to you wanting to distinguish yourself from a luxury brand and just
Mhm.
a mediocre brand, like there's a big difference. And
Yeah.
like I feel like some great examples would be like, look at the colors of Walmart, how Walmart's are, their entire brand identity and everything. It's just like
Yeah. It's not giving.
regular. It's just regular. Okay. Now this is like going for a stretch, and I'm not gonna say anything like Gucci, but the first thing that came into my head was like Joe Malone perfume.
Hmm.
And how it's a black and white logo.
Hmm.
It's very just simple. And
Yeah.
it's just when you see it, you're like, oh wow, it's Joe Malone, it's expensive. You know what I'm saying? And so when you're creating this brand, it's like how, like Sasha said at the beginning, how do you want to be perceived? Like what is your voice to your customer, which is like so important. How are you talking to your customer? And I think it's very important for, if you're trying to build this platform, especially like, and I want to say for like both Sasha and I, she has SDP Digital and I have Circa 81 Design. Like we are the face of the brand, but we're not the face of the brand.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah, let's talk about the personal brand.
the personal branding, because I feel like for me, my personal branding is so tied into my to Circa 81 Design. And I'm like, I'm trying to figure out, do I want to take it out or do I want to keep it like that? At the end of the day, I know in the long run that I will have somebody else running my company and I'm just the owner of it. And that's like a hard thing to decide. And you actually have to take yourself out of it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, how do you feel about that?
Um, I am very anti personal, like super duper personal brand. To a certain extent, like yeah, I do have a personal brand, but you know, that's what really made me create an actual, agency was because at first I was kind of like freelancing and people would, just hire me to work projects. And it's like, I don't want to have to always be the one that's present. Like, I want people to know they're hiring a company. And, I have had employees, and, people have to be okay with working with them and not, with me all the time.
True.
I am, like the lead strategist, I would say, but it's going to be other people writing the press releases and doing the pitching and sending you, the update reports sometime. Well, it is going to be other people. It's not going to be me doing that stuff. Um,
Yeah.
so it's like, but our companies are a part of, they're coming from our ideas, our creativity, our just who we are. So I think, to a certain extent, we are tied to it. But I recently read this book. It's called Built to Sell, and it's about a man that owns an advertising agency. And it talks about the process of him figuring out how he needs to structure it to be able to sell it. And he had to figure out how to set up like a system that he can teach to his employees to how to do the work, so that he didn't always have to be present, and it's repeatable and you're getting the same results every time. And he was able to, grow the company by doing that and eventually selling it. And especially I think for service-based businesses, that's so important to keep in mind, because if you don't figure that out, you're going to always have to be there to do the work, to guide your employees. Like if you don't figure out how to get your framework and everything on paper, you've created a job for yourself that you're going to always have to be tied to.
Yeah, that is so true. And I think for me, this last year has been me moving out of like, so when you went to my Circle 81 Design website, like I am still the lead designer of it, but of course mine has grown to two other divisions of it. But at the same time, like it's me and my team. And it is like, what are you going to do? Are you going to sell your business after? And you know what? Selling your business is like, there's so many different ways you can sell your business. It isn't like you don't have to completely sell your name.
Mhm.
You can sell your book of business, and they'll change. They'll At the end of the day, it's like they'll change your name, they'll change the name. Or you can, like for me, I have trademarked my name, and which I feel it's very important. I think it's very important, not think, I know it's very important for you to trademark your name.
Yeah.
If you're planning on selling at the end, and if you want to really own your business and be the one who not having in the long run having to change. And let me just say that, guys, that was the reason why I had to change Living by Design, because someone had trademarked the name. So if and when the podcast grew to the point where it was bigger than me, they could have sent me a cease and desist letter and been like, look at all this hard work I've done, grown the platform, all these things. And then I have to change the name. Like, who wants to do that? So I was like, all right, I have to change the name. And the reason I found out that it was being used is because I was trying to trademark Living by Design. And they were like, oh, it's already trademarked. And we think sometimes we get these names, and we're like, oh, no one has this name. No one's thought about this. Every idea you've ever thought about has been thought about. Now, if the idea that that person took that thought and capitalized off of it, trademarked it and everything, it's a different story. And then you hear people a lot of, because I have friends that be like, they took my idea. Well, did you turn it into a business? Did you protect it? Did you do all those things? And I think it's very important for, and I did an episode on intellectual property not too long ago. And I tell these things, me and Sasha, we talk about this all the time, because you're branding and you're building this business and you're using, I think it's so important to protect yourself and protect your brand,
And you can
Um,
trademark the name and the logo. And I think certain like brand elements you can trademark as well.
Mm-hmm. You can, yeah. But there's so many, like when you are trademarking it and everything, like there's two different ways you can do like a brand new, like it's a brand new business, or you've been already doing business. and stuff like that. So when you go to trademark it, if you can show you had already been doing business as that, two companies can have the same name, long as they're not doing the same thing, then I believe that, yeah, you can have but we'll say this, you can't be like, I want to name my company McDonald's and be food.
Yeah.
You can't do that
Yeah.
because McDonald's is already trademarked.
Yeah.
So
Um,
yeah.
when you mentioned IP, you made me think about something. Going back to the personal brand, I think that there is value in building that personal brand if your goal is to expand like your revenue streams
Mhm.
into, you want to become a speaker, or you want to, you know, you have you have a business or an agency for myself, right? But, I want to start a nonprofit. I would want to, doing speaking engagements and, other thought leadership stuff. And that becomes part of like your exit strategy of, your business. And, the IP that you create within your business ends up becoming its own thing. And that's what you end up selling. So
Yeah.
I think it's like tying your personal brand to your company, but not overly doing it.
Mhm. Yeah, that is so good. I mean, like we've touched on so many things from how we got here, how you got here, how you started your company, working in the music industry, pivoting, your well-being, using business, government contracts, which is so big. Like, it's so funny because I always wanted to do government contracts. And so, and I look around, I'm like, but it's not easy. Sasha and I'll be the first one to tell you, it's not easy, guys. You just don't, it's not easy. It's a lot of relationship building. It's a lot of processes and systems, which are my things, which are so important in business, having processes and systems and building a team, building a business, building an enterprise. Um, And Sasha and I have talked about that the four quadrant, and the last one is being an owner,
Mhm.
not being self-employed. And I think that's one of the large things that we also wanted to I want to also like give like a takeaway though, Sasha, is like the self-employment, like if that's not what you're designed to be, you will burn out.
Yeah.
And that's basically like what has really made us move further along is like getting out of that role of self-employment, like
Yeah.
not being the only one doing what we're doing, creating these processes and systems, using Chat GPT as an assistant. We look at Chat GPT as a tool. It's never going to take our job. ChatGPT can't really think for us. It can't go out and do the work for us. It can give you a template, it can be a tool to be used beside you. But it is not going to take our jobs. And I want people to really understand that artificial intelligence is here to help us to expand, help us to step more into our greater. And I think once people start to see that, they'll start to become more curious and want to work with it. What do you feel, Sasha?
Yeah, I agree. And then going back to the self-employed to owner thing, there's a book, I want to say it's the E-Myth book. I forgot the exact title, but it's like a pretty popular business book. But that one also like really opened my eyes, and it talks about going from an operator to an owner. And a lot of us that go into business, it's like, oh, I do PR, like I've been doing it for, 6, 7 years. I could do it on my own. Okay, so now you've created a job for yourself. Now you're self-employed because you're an operator and you're still functioning as an operator. But then it's like what you and I have been on about, transitioning into the ownership and becoming the CEO, or the owner of the company that works on it. Um, But yeah, I mean, I think all of these tools and technology, like I use um Asana for like project management. I'm like always on my Dropbox, like everything is in my Dropbox. Canva, um, what else? Like Google Drive. There's just so many different tools, available now, and so much technology that makes all of these things easier, and you can automate
Mhm.
things. Like over the past couple of weeks, like I've had Constant Contact, which is an email service provider for years because I would use it to distribute press releases. And over the past 2 weeks, I've really realized everything I can do with it. I've set up like email automations, and you can even schedule social media posts within there. And I'm like, oh my,
Yeah,
it's like saved me so much time. And like I woke up
yeah,
this morning and my newsletter went out. It got posted everywhere, like while I was taking a shower. So
yeah. Yeah, I think it's important. And a lot of that comes along with like cultivating your skills and really learning more about these, what we call them, soft software, really is what they are. And cloud systems that they have. And she mentioned Dropbox. I'm a huge proponent of the whole entire Google suite. um i i I used to use Microsoft 365, their entire suite, but for some reason I love Google Suite. So like Google Workspace Suite is something that I use. I use all the Drive, the Google Docs, the Google Sheets. If they ask me to make a Google Sheet, I have sheets and Excel sheets for all type of things, budgets, all the things, vendors, just to keep contracts and understand what I've worked on and everything. I can go back and look at it. And it's really good at updating you. When's the last time it was an edit? Who sent you what was corrected? You can look at all the edit things. And that's like the best thing about, I feel like, becoming more digital in your business is having that footprint. So then you can go back and you can be a little bit more organized. If things are not going good within your office at the moment, at least you know you're organized, and that's what's so important. So we're getting at the end, and I want Sasha to really tell us how can you get in contact with her social media handles, how to email her, how you can work with her business. And we'll see Sasha soon again, because I know we're going to talk about some other really good topics or do some lives. So Sasha, how can they get in touch with you?
on my social media is just my full name, Sasha Pisterman. My company website is sdp-digital.com. And my Instagram is SCP Digital altogether. I have contact information on both of my personal, my business Instagram profiles where you can email me. So yeah, feel free to connect and reach out.
Well, I'm glad you joined us today, Sasha. I'm glad we finally were able
Yeah.
to have this conversation. I know we're going to have some more conversation. I feel like we're going to talk more about digital transformation in your business, talk about SEO, the rankings, business analytics. We'll get to talk more about those techie things come in. I don't know, me and Sasha will figure out when we're going to do another one, but I really want us to get into the whole data management of your business, and just having that digital platform, which is so big. If your business has not been digitalized or been transformed, like, it's important, and you need to talk to Sasha and I and see how we can help you. So I will see you guys on the next episode. You guys have a great day. See you guys later.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming on.